in this episode, I want to lay out for you and give you an insight to what I've come to understand is the biggest gift that you can bring to any healing or facilitation situation. Now, this is going to be particularly pertinent if you're any kind of coach or therapist or practitioner of some kind. But also, if that's not you, stay with me, because if you nail this one, it's going to be actually the biggest gift you can bring to your life. Sound good? Well, let's get into it. Hit it, Kim.
Welcome to the Be a Brilliant Human podcast. You're in the right place if you're a growth-seeking being who acknowledges the challenges and delights of your humanity on the path to an ever more conscious life. If you want to feel inspired to love and accept yourself, to feel free to be and express you in all your brilliance, if you want to truly value yourself and others and feel energized and alive both at home and in the world, then sit back and take a breath as you explore and grow the brilliance of your beautiful human self with your host, the father of non-personal awareness and creator of the MPA process, Joel Young.
Hello, and welcome to the Be a Brilliant Human podcast with me, Joel Young. I'm delighted you're here. If you're here for the first time, I'm delighted that you've found me. I hope you're going to hit that subscribe button and be notified each week when the episode comes out. And if you're back for more, you know that I'm incredibly grateful and appreciative of the fact that you choose to put me in your ears in some form once a week and listen to my pontifications. I always hope that they touch you in some way, and I'd love you to let me know actually how they touch you, how do they affect you, how do they help. You can do that as ever by getting in touch via social media. I am at Joel Young MPA for the most part across social media. If you're a YouTuber, you'll find me at youtube.com/Joel Young. And on Facebook, the Facebook page for MPA, which I'll talk about if you're new in a moment, is MPA Rocks. Just search for MPA Rocks on Facebook and you'll find me there. And of course, you can get the show notes for today. Today's episode 61. So you just need to go to www.beabrillianthuman.com/61 for today's show notes. And all of those 60 previous episodes, just put /episode number after that link and you can have a good old binge of all the other episodes that I've done. Now, speaking of MPA, if you're new here, MPA, I'm often known as the creator and custodian of MPA. And the MPA process popped out of me, it must be 13, getting on for almost 14 years ago now. And I've talked to people around the world. I've been saying 18 countries for probably about 10 years. It's probably a lot more than that. I should do a survey, really. And it's a simple way to stop taking things personally and so much more. It's actually a really simple tool, but also more than that, it's kind of a philosophy for life. And I mention it a lot on this podcast. And today is no exception because MPA really embraces and expresses, one of my favorite paradoxes in the realm of healing, transformation, consciousness and love, and really embodies that secret ingredient that I'm talking about today. Now, as I am talking about it a lot today, I should let you know up front that you can get hold of the MPA process for free on my website. Just go to joelyoungmpa.com and you'll see a link there where you can just download the process sheet and get yourself started. Much of what I talk about with MPA, and MPA stands for non-personal awareness, by the way, all starts really with the MPA process. The MPA process, and certainly the basic training, which is our core training for using MPA in your life, it is kind of like the installation. The basic training is like how you install non-personal awareness and the gifts of the MPA process into your life so you can really help yourself and really make yourself, in a way, one of the things that MPA does is help you become non-stick, like a Teflon pan. You go from being a sticky old frying pan where you can barely scrape the egg off from that greasy fry up, because we all love greasy fry ups in the healing world, and lets you really apply the Teflon to your pan. And then launching extremely soon, may well be launched if you're listening to this later, is going to be the advanced training, which will take you to a place where you can really start to use it with others in a powerful way. And then going into 2021, we're going to be launching the master training, which will give you sort of practitioner status and sort of endorsed by my good self. It's really, if you want to take it to the next level, it's really for more professionally, for professional people. If you're already a coach and you want to have the certificate and really actually being like the top 1 to 2% of therapists across the realm, then make sure you follow it all the way through to do the master training. And in fact, today, really, one of that's the secret ingredient I'm going to be talking about is that secret sauce that will make that difference. Help you have non-stick life if you do the basic training, and then apply that non-stick approach to your clients with the advanced training, and then take it to the next level with the master training. And so having a non-stick sort of experience with your clients means that you don't experience any friction. And that's a really wonderful thing. Imagine if you had no resistant clients. That's my experience in my one-to-one practice. I don't experience resistant clients because of this very secret ingredient. So shall we get into it? You want to know what it is? Okay, let's do this. Okay, I want to start by reading you an email that I received from a client who wanted to express the gratitude that she felt for the sessions that we'd been having. And she wanted to offer a testimonial to sort of share with others, what she had experienced and felt with me and how that had helped her. Now, the clue to the secret ingredient is in here. So I'll read it out for you and then I'll break it down. So here's what she said. It's Jane. She said, "Working with Joel, I have been surprised by and so appreciated the tender compassion and acceptance that he has brought to each session. He offered a genuine, loving space with no judgment, even of feelings I had previously felt so ashamed of. In the past, I've experienced a certain level of acceptance with facilitators, but when change hasn't come or stuckness has shown up, the focus on moving on or changing has taken over. Joel's approach has the flavour of open-handed compassion and shows a level of acceptance which feels as if it comes very naturally from him. For me, though, it was a very new experience, and I feel that those qualities have been key to me moving on as I have. Those more tender / dark / stuck feelings, having been offered all the time and space they needed to feel safe and relax, let down their defences and changed of their own accord. Here I am a few months later, finding myself in a more peaceful and happy place, feeling more able to deal with life with more space and compassion now coming from within me. Yep, I'm very grateful." That's Jane from Leicester. Okay, so what was Jane experiencing she put as coming naturally from me? So she states it as compassion, acceptance, genuine loving space, no judgment. And these are qualities which naturally arise from the secret ingredient, but they're not, in fact, the secret ingredients itself. Now, the thing I love most about MPA, the thing that practicing it has kind of trained into me, into my approach of working with clients and, into my life in general, is, it's not a proper word, but I'm going to just lay it out, agendalessness. Agendalessness, having no agenda. Okay, so that's not strictly speaking a real word, I know. But it points to the fact that MPA in its pure form comes with no agenda, and having no agenda is the secret ingredient. And therein lies the paradox, and it's a bit of a challenge for many would-be power users of MPA, and many practitioners, transformational practitioners themselves. The question sort of goes in your mind, surely if someone's paying me money to get some kind of outcome or result, shouldn't I be doing everything in my power to get them there, or at least to help them get themselves there? And yet I'm talking about no agenda. That's like saying I don't care. Give me money and I don't care. I'll do nothing. That's not how it goes. Because the trouble is, all that I, me, them, get them there and their stuff is based on personal power. And personal power requires a person. And persons come with an agenda. So and again, agendas come with timelines, they come with outcomes, they come with comparisons and judgments and intentions. And that leads, to right ways and wrong ways, both, overtly and covertly. And that leads to dogma, and dogma leads to blindness. It's a shitstorm. It can be subtle, but it's certainly there. Whereas, MPA, the way that MPA works is, it invites you to express yourself in your natural way. So inherent in that, it's not asking you, for example, to express and say what your emotions are. Now, some approaches will be very emotionally focused, so they're going to be having an agenda about you expressing yourself emotionally. And if you're not, there'll be words like, let's say someone's not expressing themselves emotionally or with emotional verbiage. Then there's, powerful questions which will say, so how does that make you feel? To think that thought or whatever it is, which is a modality-based agenda which wants to get the client from their natural place into a place that suits the modality. It's an agenda. Now, agendas in those cases aren't always bad. There's times when it's good to sort of stretch yourself into places, but nevertheless, it is an agenda. The next bit of the MPA process is to say a few simple lines. And it's not saying say them this way, so that you have to say them with feeling, feel every word. That's not in the way that we do MPA, at least not if you do it properly. I do see, this is why, one of the reasons, many reasons that I create the trainings, because I see people who get it free off the website and they bring all of that, for example, emotional dogma to it, that agenda, and they try and get the person to say it in a specific way. No! Be agendaless. Say a few simple, just say it out loud. That's it. That's as much as it goes. And then the end of the process is to notice what happens. Again, there's no outcome or goal with MPA. There's no agenda. Just notice what happens. Yeah, sometimes people have big emotional breakthroughs, or they have massive ahas, or they just notice their behavior changes. But inherent within non-personal awareness, inherent with MPA, is there's no agenda. Express yourself in your natural way, say a few simple lines, and just notice what happens, if anything. So the question then comes, how does that, as I said in the title, consistently facilitate healing? Well, let's break it down. So the problem with agendas, even ones with positive intent, even subtle, energetic, easily self-deniable ones, is that they apply pressure towards the intended outcome or the route. Now, pressure tends to invoke resistance, and resistance leads to persistence, and before you know it, you're in a world of friction and potential stuckness. And that can lead to sort of further pressure in support of the agenda, so it begins to, this big unhelpful loop. Now, Jane illustrates it because she says, in the past, what does she say? She said, I'm reading now. In the past, I have experienced a certain level of acceptance with facilitators. A certain level of acceptance. In other words, there was an agenda with the facilitators that she'd experienced. And she goes on to say how, the agenda kicks up a gear. She says, but when change hasn't come or stuckness has shown up, the focus on moving on or changing has taken over. In other words, the facilitator's agenda has caused that upping of pressure. It's uncomfortable that it doesn't go anywhere, and there's a plan to be had. We have to follow a route or a script. I have to get you somewhere, and that all creates that pressure. And if you train more in the art of using MPA, what you'll begin to appreciate is the importance and power of its agendalessness. The power of MPA is non-personal. In other words, it's getting out of the way. Getting out of your own way, but also getting out of the way of your client. And as you get out of the way, as you drop the agenda, things begin to resolve all by themselves in wonderful, effortless, and sometimes miraculous ways. So working agendalessly, I'm really stretching this word, aren't I? Working agendalessly with Jane, it meant that we met in a state of mutual, gentle discovery. That's what agendalessness gives you. It was like watching a flower blossom, and how personally involved are you in the process of watching a flower blossom? You just let it do its thing. But if you give it the right environment, of course, it's going to do it really, really well. And as Jane put it, those more tender / dark / stuck feelings have been offered all the time and space they needed to feel safe and relaxed, let down their defenses and change of their own accord. Now, if you think about, Jane wasn't thinking in terms of how can I express it in a non-personal way. That's just how she naturally wrote it. The feelings, let down their defenses and changed of their own accord. And that is how having no agenda consistently facilitates healing, transformation, evolutions in consciousness and love. You're getting yourself out of the equation and things happen all by themselves. Now, if you're not a coach or a therapist or someone who helps other people one-on-one, you're probably thinking, well, you did say, Joel, at the beginning, that it can be also a gift in your life. How does that work? Well, it's pretty much the same thing. Agendas do create pressure, and agendas in personal relationships can have an impact. You know what it's like when you think you're right and they're wrong? That goes down really well all the time, doesn't it? But also in terms of how you operate with yourself. If you can become agendaless with yourself, then again, you take the friction out, you take the pressure off. I talked a bit about this in last week's episode, which was about embracing the polarity, because polarities are like the ultimate agendaed parts of ourselves, you know, the good boy and the bad boy fighting each other for supremacy, each of them having a strong agenda. But when you can come together or just have no judgment or agenda around each side, you open up into the gift of seeing where it is contextually appropriate. And if you want to know more about that, listen to last week's episode number 60. But whether it's in your personal life or in your professional life or with your clients, where agendalessness really comes in, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's I have an experience of having no resistant clients. Having no resistance and no friction is the magic power that it has. And the myth that we tell ourselves is that we need that agenda. We need to sort of push things through. Now, just a slight caveat, there's, as I said before, there are times where it can be useful to have a passing intention or a passing pull, but as a general principle, I think that's a misbegotten or woe-begotten idea that we need to have that push or that pull in order to make things happen. Going back to watching the rose bloom, there's a natural intelligence which, if given space, will find its own natural route. So when I'm working with a client without an agenda, it's not that I don't wish the best for them or that I don't see the possibility that's there, but I don't have an agenda about how that should happen or the pace that it should happen. What I'm able to do is, without an agenda, is be open to exploring with them the most natural next steps, path and pace of the client. And what that does is, without the pressure, it really, in a way, what you're facilitating really is the natural genius of the co-creation of the universe, the client, and in my case, myself as a facilitator, to have the smoothest, most graceful, and certainly resistant-free experience. So, again, you're probably wondering, how can I do this? Well, as I said at the beginning, for me, it starts with the MPA process. That would be my strong encouragement to you. If you haven't already downloaded it, go ahead and do that now. Pause this, go download it. Go to joelyoungmpa.com and click the bit that says free MPA sheet. It's dead easy. And then it starts with the basic training, which will give you the core teachings, the core installation of the MPA process. And if you are someone who works with other people, then keep your eyes out, or even go and sign up for the waitlist if it's not already launched for the advanced training, because that will give you not only deeper insight, especially into working without an agenda with clients, but also how to apply that in all sorts of different situations that you're likely to meet when you're working in the transformational realm with clients. So that really brings that experience to your clients, and what a gift that is. All right, I think we're a wrap for today. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Of course, you're welcome to ask me questions, get in touch, offer feedback, let me know how this episode has touched you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like what you've heard, go and tell someone about it. Let them know there's this fantastic podcast called Be a Brilliant Human with Joel Young. Go tell them. Share it with your friends. All right, that's it for me for now. I will see you next week. Until then, big hugs to you, and all that remains is to cue the moo.